Welcome back to Breakfast Television. It's a conversation many parents dread, the sex education talk. But Dr. Trina Read is here now with how to have that chat and why it's so important for kids to get this information from their parents. Yes. Good morning to you.
Good morning, and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. You know, this is happening in my house right now. My daughter
both of us.
Is now 10, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
we're both in the middle of starting this conversation or having this conversation.
Yeah. My daughter's 10 and she's just starting to ask these questions. And
how are you doing?
And you know, it is weird, right?
Yeah.
But I'm trying to make it as normal as possible and as casual as possible. Is that a good place to start?
Well, you know, I just want to say, that all parents, I think all parents.
Yeah.
What we really want for our kids is when they grow up to be in healthy, happy, long-term relationships.
Yes.
And a big part of a happy, healthy, long-term relationships is that intimacy and sex piece. Right. So when we can have these conversations with our kids now, it's really, really going to help them when they get into that relationship and having those difficult conversations.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what the purpose of having these conversations now is about.
Right. Okay. Now, you wanted to start off by doing some myth busting, which I think is really important when it comes to this topic. So let's start with this one. Talking to kids about sex will make them go out and experiment.
Yes, you know, and it just blows my mind. I kind of get it. I kind of get why parents might think that if we start talking to them about provocative things. But research has shown over decades that when kids get a comprehensive sex education, they will make better choices and they will abstain longer. So really, knowledge is power. The more education you can get to your kid, especially at a younger age. So like when you start having conversations at a young age, by the time they get to be teenagers and the conversations get to be tricky, tricky conversations, it's so much easier because you've already had that base, that foundation.
Right, you've laid the groundwork.
That's right. So like you just know that every piece of information you're getting into that kid's head is going to help them make better choices.
Right. Okay. That's a good one. All right, here's another myth. School's sex ed curriculum disregards values and morals.
You know, I think what we're seeing in Ontario and somewhat here in Alberta is that pushback from parents about, you know what, these aren't our values. And what you need to know is that the comprehensive sex ed is value neutral.
Right.
And how I like to look at it is schools supply the facts. Families, parents supply the values.
Okay.
So it's like peanut butter and jam, right? Like you get a good framework for the kid, you get the facts, and then you get the values. But what I always say to parents is, don't assume just because your kids live with you that they understand what your values are. You actually have to sit them down and say, here's what we believe in, right? Because parents just think that we're going to intuit, they're going to intuit, but not necessarily.
Right.
So tell your kids what your values are.
Okay. All right. I like this. This is good. Okay, here's another one. Teachers are not qualified to teach sex ed.
Well, you know what? Teachers, those poor teachers, they have to teach a lot of different topics.
They sure do.
And I just think about the hundreds, maybe thousands of people across Canada and North America that have put together a developmentally program for kids that for their age groups, and like how much work and effort and time was put into putting a curriculum together so that teachers can go and teach kids. Because what I hear from teachers is they're getting difficult questions, and so these people who are creating this curriculum are having to make sure to have those answers for the teachers. So there's a lot of work in the back end to help teachers make sure that they get the right information to those kids. And again, you know what, I just think hooray for the teachers. They're starting those tricky conversations.
Yes.
So they start the conversations and then we can talk about those with our kids, right?
So again,
again, it's like we're working in tandem with the schools.
Okay. And very quickly, because we're almost out of time, if parents are looking for some sort of resource or even a place to start, is there one place that you really recommend that's useful?
You know, teachingsexualhealth.ca so it gives by age, it gives a lot of different ways that parents can teach their kids about sex. But just understand that each child is different in how they want to take in the information. And you as a parent, you know best how your child wants to take in information. So go there, scroll through the information, and just and look for ways to have conversations. Don't necessarily wait for your kids to come to you, but look for ways to have conversations with them and start it early, as early as possible.
As early as possible. Okay, fantastic information as always. Thanks so much, Trina. Great to see you again.
And good luck.
And thank you. Good luck to you too.